Good morning, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Veterans Memorial Coliseum here in Portland, following Purdue's 80-68 win over West Virginia, as well as Gonzaga's 102-78 upset of Portland State, setting up tomorrow's meeting between Purdue and Gonzaga over across the way over here at the Moda Center. This is your wrap video, obviously following that Purdue game. It is brought to you by our friends at the Purdue Club Hotel. Thank you to them for their promotional considerations. As always, I am going to keep this relatively quick, as I always say I'm going to, because I got to catch my train back to the People's Republic, back to my hotel. And also, there's such a short turnaround between games here. What's the point? It all seems so futile when they're playing again in 24 hours again. But anyway, Purdue, West Virginia, I think this was the one Purdue had to have for a variety of reasons. One, there's no reason to think Purdue can't do damage here. But when you're in situations like Purdue and like a lot of teams are this time of year, when you just don't necessarily know what you have yet, these things can also go the other way on you. I think Purdue getting this West Virginia game gives them something really positive, a good hard-fought win over what probably will be a respectable opponent in the long run. Goes very nicely with the Marquette win. They played out very similarly, I thought. Well, Purdue led this game start to finish, so I shouldn't say that, but I think there were the two wins will profile kind of similarly. Also, I think beating West Virginia gives you that ultimate litmus test tomorrow against Gonzaga. Also guarantees you 3 high major opponents out here in Portland. Enormous for your resume. This trip alone, no matter what Purdue does in these last 2 games, huge for the resume, because you get Gonzaga on there on your strength of schedule. You get 3 high major opponents, bumping up your your whatever they call it now, the net ranking. You don't have to eat a Portland State on your resume. You don't have to eat I don't want to say Oregon State. They're certainly a high major opponent, but you're going to get Duke or Xavier somewhere down the line here, no matter which way this goes, I think. So a really good weekend already, a really good week already for Purdue's resume by virtue of this one win. This was a good win. I mean, this was a really good win. I think I said before, this is kind of similar to Marquette in terms of the stature of the win. But I think it really underscored some things here about this Purdue team that we've kind of hinted at all offseason, but didn't really know for sure quite yet. West Virginia makes you fight. I mean, they want fist fights. They want rock fights. They want whatever kind of fight you can think of here. Whatever. Steel cage, mud wrestling, battle bots, whatever. That's what West Virginia wants. They want to ugly stuff up. They want to make you make mistakes. They want you to back down physically. Purdue won that part of it. Purdue was the tougher team, I thought. Purdue played harder, I thought. Purdue made all the hustle plays. Just enormous substance came out about Purdue in this game tonight, and that was something I've kind of hinted around the boundaries of all offseason, that this would be a more Purdue-like team this year, and I wasn't meaning that as a stab at last year's team. I was meaning that as a compliment toward this year's team. And I think tonight you saw everything I was kind of figuring this team might be in its best case scenario. But some of the plays Purdue made tonight were just special types of plays. The play that Mason Gillis made to preserve that possession, ended up getting Purdue 2 points from the foul line, where he slid a good 10 yards on the floor. Very Chris Kramery. The play that Braden Smith made that'll make all the highlights, where he punches the ball down the floor. And West Virginia, it's going to be West Virginia ball anyway, but the fact he knocks the ball down the floor makes them eat a shot clock violation. Just an unbelievable, uncanny, instinctive play by a kid playing his 4th college game. You're seeing a lot of substance coming out of this team. Caleb First makes a bunch of plays. Ethan Morton makes a bunch of plays. Gillis makes way more plays than just that one I mentioned before. There's just real substance in this team. There's a real motor in this team, and they're still going to have their ups and downs, but I think they're gonna win and they're gonna lose playing the right way. That being said, they turned the ball over way too many times tonight. It seems relatively correctable, more correctable than I think it probably would have been last year at this time, when I think Purdue just had a fundamental flaw in that regard, whereas tonight 4 of those turnovers were offensive fouls at a time in the game where the fouls were evening out. But I think Purdue just needs to be stronger with the ball. I think as they play more together, they'll get the post-entry stuff down. I thought one of Zach-Ede's turnovers, he got jacked in the back pretty good. It should have been a foul. So I think the turnover issue isn't as much of a concern as all the intangible stuff Purdue did in this game is a real revelation. I think, Purdue played hard. Purdue made all of those plays I mentioned before, but also Purdue played pretty smart. For a game where you have 18 turnovers, that I'm saying you played smart. When you look at what Ethan Morton did with his passing and his ability to set up plays and set up other people, Brian Waddell did the same thing at a much smaller scale there in the second half, got Purdue 2 huge buckets. Just these guys are smart. They have high basketball IQs. They want to share the ball. And I just think, as I said before, whether they win or they lose, they're either gonna win playing the game the right way, or they're gonna go down playing the game the right way. And I think that's something, Purdue fans, out of any fan base in college basketball, they're one of those that are certainly going to appreciate that sort of thing. I think fans are going to like this team. I think they probably already do, but I think fans will come to really appreciate what this team's all about. Braden Smith, he has what we might call an it factor. I think that's one of the big takeaways from this game. This was the second game in a row where he did just enormous and kind of out of the ordinary things late in a game to help propel Purdue to a quality win. He made so many big plays in the final few minutes against Marquette, and then you remember the 3 he made, that was his only field goal of the game, and that came right after West Virginia cut this lead down to 4 with like 5.5 minutes to go. It was the biggest shot of the game, off the biggest pass of the game from Ethan Morton, followed closely by the biggest highlight play of the game. That wasn't even a shot. It was Braden Smith diving to volleyball the ball down the floor. One of the most heads-up plays I've ever seen, from a Purdue team. And that's kind of what Purdue does. Is for a very long period of time they've been making plays like that, and I can't remember anything as sharp as that play Braden Smith made. He said he thought he saw Ethan Morton for a layup. I don't know if that was really part of his calculus. I have no idea. Who knows if he even remembers. But he very purposely punched that ball with a closed fist for distance, it looked like to me. I'm sure he had an idea that the shot clock was running down on West Virginia. Just an unbelievably uncanny basketball play made by a guy who's just got this knack for making winning plays, down the stretch of games here. I mean, the kid's played 4 college basketball games, and he's made enormous plays in Purdue's 2 best wins of the year in his 3rd and 4th games as a college basketball player. Just can't say enough about him. He's got that quote-unquote it factor. I think Mason Gillis has that it factor too. I think he really showed it last year when he imposed his will on a couple games, changed games just by chasing balls. I think, from an intangible play perspective, the only other guy I can really think of who jumps out that way, really was Kramer. Guys who could change a game with just chasing a loose ball or getting a loose ball or doing something, kind of superhero-y. I think Braden Smith has it. I think Mason Gillis has it. I think Caleb First, might prove himself to have it as well, before long. With that block shot he made against Marquette, that was right in line with what I'm talking about here. Caleb First is playing his you-know-what off right now, and I think that's a really overlooked part of what Purdue's done here these last 2 games, these last 4 games, but more importantly these last 2 games because of the magnitude of the 2 wins. I think you got to give him a ton of credit here for what he's doing. I think you have to give a lot of people a lot of credit here for what they've been doing lately. Brian Waddell's playing really well for Purdue in a limited role. I can go on down the list. I don't want to bore you with it, but I think Zach-Ede was okay tonight. I think he's still capable of a little bit more. And against Gonzaga, Purdue's going to need that more, probably if they're going to have a chance. he goes 7-12 with 6 turnovers tonight. I think that easily could have been 9-12 with 3 turnovers probably, in which case you're talking about one of the greatest games you've seen a Purdue center play. But I don't think he got the position as much as his preferred position as much as he would have liked. In this game, West Virginia did a good job fighting him, I'm quite certain. He did make some really long hook shots, which he's going to make those. I don't know what the hell people do against him. But I think ideally you'd prefer to be a little bit closer in. But the turnover issue has to be something Purdue cleans up, because it is the single biggest reason that, Purdue couldn't push this lead past 14 for the majority of the game. It's the single biggest reason Purdue didn't win this game by, 20-some points, because Purdue was markedly better, I thought, than West Virginia. And I think they beat West Virginia, too, at their own game, on top of being better than them. I think West Virginia will probably get better as the season goes on, as they play more basketball together. But I don't know if they're a great shooting team. But I think this is a good win long-term for Purdue. One, obviously, that's better than the alternative. And earned you kind of your showcase moment here tomorrow against Gonzaga. But regardless of what happens here the rest of the way, you've really helped your resume here. You should be building confidence. I don't think confidence is ever going to be an issue for this team, because these freshmen largely walk in here like they run the place. I don't think confidence is any sort of issue for this team, but you can never have enough. And, Purdue experiencing some success here together is a very positive thing. Purdue having to fight through some tough moments and still win, coming from behind against Marquette, but then also beating back West Virginia after West Virginia cuts a 13-point lead or 14-point lead, whatever it was, down 4. Just huge growth moments for Purdue, most likely. So, Purdue's got to feel pretty good about itself right now, but, that can, if they're not careful, that can go away real quick tomorrow. But nevertheless, I think Purdue's in a really good spot. I think you have to like what you're seeing from them so far, and we'll kind of see where it goes from here the rest of this time in Portland. So I appreciate everybody watching, appreciate you reading, appreciate you listening. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know it's the middle of the night where you are, so Thanksgiving is long over and you're sleeping off your turkey. But I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow morning, or no. Okay, tomorrow's Friday, right? Yes, tomorrow's Friday. I'll talk to you guys again Saturday morning after Purdue plays Gonzaga tomorrow night. So thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however it is you process our materials. This is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com, live from Portland with my Stay Pineapple pen. Have a good morning, everybody.